trying to be safe. Just when every day seemed to greet me with a smile, sunspots are faded. From the coast.
Hello, Keegan from Bohemian Vocal Studio here. In this video, I'm going to take you through 3 things that I've learned from singing like Chris Cornell, taking Soundgarden songs and Temple of Dog songs, and really doing my own thing with them. I think it's really important that you understand the difference between sounding like someone and actually having the ability to sing in a similar manner to them and approach the songs that they sang with ease and do so with your own style, taking inspiration from them, but not necessarily sounding like them. I'm definitely in the latter category. I don't think I sound anything like Chris Cornell. Obviously, my voice is a lot lower than his, naturally. That doesn't mean there's a difference in the potential range I can develop. There is a difference in the tonal quality and where I approach things and how I sing certain vowels, but we'll go through that in this video. Basically, if you're looking for someone that sounds just like Chris Cornell, go and buy a Bad Motorfinger. In this video, I'm going to show you how to approach those songs yourself. Now, the first thing that I've learned from singing Chris Cornell songs, from singing Soundgarden songs, and probably the most important thing if you want to go down this route with your voice and work out the crazy high stuff, is that he approached everything from Headvoice. So all the Soundgarden stuff is approached from Headvoice, and I'll explain that in a minute. Most of the Audio Slave stuff is not. That's a different style of singing that I'm not personally into. So, you know, I'm a bit more of an old school guy. We're going to talk about the oldest singing, or when he was younger, the younger singing. So, when I'm saying that he's approaching stuff from Headvoice, I'm not saying he's singing like the Bee Gees. He's not singing falsetto Bee Gees kind of stuff. He's singing full vocal fold closure, CT dominance, stretch vocal folds, a lot of power to it, really great vowels, really pinging vowels, great overtone within the vowel, really forward placement, full voice. Basically, a lot of people get confused with this. When you see some guy on YouTube saying, you need to take your chest voice as high as possible, semantically they are incorrect, because you actually use the head voice mechanism, the CT muscle, even when you're belting. When you're belting the crap out of something, when you're singing a Danzig song or something, you're actually using the CT muscle to balance against the TA. So technically, you are using the head voice mechanism to carry your chest voice higher. Again, semantics. It's a really important thing to ask those questions. When people give you that advice, ask them what they actually mean in an anatomical sense and in a practical sense. I'm all about the practical. Maybe it's an Aussie thing, but I don't really care about so much of the details. I care about how to do it in a repeatable way and having a working understanding of things so it's repeatable, so I can make sure I'm doing things in a healthy way. So for example, if I'm trying to sing one of the vocal lines from Call Me a Dog, and I'm like, you wore me out like an old winter coat, trying to be safe. I'm obviously not yelling in my chest voice. Trying to be safe. That's from head voice. Yeah, yeah, that kind of thing. So I'm using the CT muscle, the head voice muscle there to make that happen. I realize it sounds full. I realize it sounds like an extension of chest voice. Yeah. And you add some grit to it and it sounds super cool, like you're shredding your voice to pieces, but you can obviously hear that's not what's actually going on. So the very first thing you need to do is develop your head voice. I know that's something you hear all the time and you're sick of people telling you that, and you've been to singing lessons, you've had someone get you to do head voice exercises and you're like, man, this is not going to help me sing Chris Cornell songs, but it will. So there's really three things that I recommend you do to make this happen. So number one is connecting chest and head voice on a pharyngeal sound. So basically a hoot sound in the back. Imagine an owl or a ghost or something like that, an old lady singing classical, ooh, that kind of thing, and you need to bring it down to chest voice. Ooh, with no break. I'm using the TA muscle in chest voice, so my vocal folds are contracted, letting that contraction go as I start stretching with the CT muscle. So the way that I'm engaging that CT muscle as I'm getting a more powerful sound is adding a slight cry to the sound. Now, people use that term to describe about 10 different things in the voice. I'm talking about literally stretching the CT muscle or literally stretching the vocal folds using the CT muscle, which tilts the larynx and creates that tension in the folds and full voice and head voice, basically. So as I'm going up in my range, I add a slight complaint to the sound. So, le, he. Do you hear that? Le. That kind of thing. So as I'm going up to that high stuff, I'm making sure I redirect from the TA muscles within the vocal folds themselves, the vocalis, to the CT muscle below. So if you put your finger in the hollow between the collarbones here, and you think about a complaint, you're like, ha, ha, that kind of thing, you'll feel the muscles either come forward or separate a touch. It depends on how you do it. And that's what we need to add to our chest voice as we ascend. So on that high stuff, you wore me out like an old. I'm not yelling in my chest voice and bellowing. You see, it's really easy for me to do that. It's super full and powerful, but it's not yelly and super loud or anything like that. It's super natural and balanced. I'm able to sing higher than that. It's not like I'm singing the ceiling and hitting that kind of belt there. So the very first thing you need to do is develop your head voice. So the hoot sounds are really great for that. The tonal quality of the higher range is really important as well for making it full voice. Obviously, Chris Cornell is not singing, ooh, you want me out. That's not the way that he's singing. So we get the tonal quality of pharyngeal contraction. Basically, we need to narrow the vocal tract as much as we physically can. So we think about crescendoing into, so if we sing that same hoot with an E, E, think about moving that into a witchy sound. E, E, E. We bring that down to chest voice. E. Now, we don't want to go so far that it's Judas Priest, but, getting close there. Then when we're singing our open vowels and we're going through our vowel modifications, our tonal intents from all the other videos that I've shared with you, we need to slightly get towards that witchy cackle at the top. La, yeah! Do you hear that slight witchy cackle at the top? You don't have to take it that far for it to be distorted. It could be really clean. That is how Chris Cornell is getting that high range, the really wailing stuff. And you stare at me! That kind of thing. Super easy to do. Really, really easy to do. Repeatable. I'm not going red in the face or straining or anything like that. It's just because I'm stretching the CT muscle and approaching things from head voice. And that is the way that Chris Cornell did the Soundgarden stuff. If you're serious about this stuff, you need to develop your head voice. I know it's not the most exciting thing you've ever heard, and you've got people on YouTube telling you to take your chest voice as high as possible and to belt the crap out of stuff, but that's not how Chris Cornell sang. Now, the second thing that I've learned from singing these Soundgarden and Chris Cornell songs is that you need an unholy amount of twang to kind of pull off what he's doing. A, it's healthy. B, it's very stylistic. So this is a step beyond just a little bit of twang to give you that boost and cut there, and a little bit more compression, and to sing in a really effortless, energetic way. This is to the point where there's almost nothing but twang, especially in his lower range. Not that that's low for me, but that's something I really, really love about Chris Cornell's voice, especially Bad Motorfinger era, the lower range stuff. Listen, he is inside, one who lives while others lie. That kind of thing. It's tons of twang. There's not much chest voice to it. There's a little bit, but it's mainly just twang. That is, 80% of my tone there is twang. Now, twang comes from engagement of the epiglottis, so the AES at the very top of the throat, kind of where you swallow and drink from. It's the same cartilage there, used in a different way, but it's the same mechanism, basically. So this is your twang up, basically, and it partially closes over the throat to compress the air below. So you've got all that pressure in the air that isn't just against the vocal folds. It's a way of managing compression. It also directs the resonance at the wall of the vocal tract, so the sphenoid bones actually resonate as well. The bones of the face resonate as well, and you get this really crazy boost in your high frequencies, around 3-4K in that area. You'll see it if you record your voice with tons of twang. You'll see there's kind of like two boosts. There's the tone of your pitch, and then there's this sharp cut up in the higher range. It's really cool to see. So this is really important for a lot of reasons. This is how you sing with effortless power and energy. This is how you sing really, really loud as well. So twang cuts through. If you're in a room with a 100-watt Marshall or two of them, and you're trying to yell over the top of it, that ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry. If you have twang, you can actually sing over the sound of a drum kit or a guitar, boost it up as loud as you can because it's a frequency thing. So the twang sits in kind of an empty space in the frequencies in a lot of instruments, and you don't have to sing very loud to cut through. That's super important to understand. Really easy to develop too. It is the key to so many things. Seriously, I'm such a fan of Twang. For me, it was life-changing learning how to do this. It was even improved my speaking voice as well, having a touch of Twang in there. So sing is actually my favorite sound. Sing! And then learning to sing that with an open vowel that doesn't exit through the nose. So obviously NG, tongue's blocking off the mouth, airflow's going through the nose because the velar port is open. Sing! That kind of thing. Obviously, you can't do that. So what we need to do is learn to mimic that sound, make the same change or same use of the epiglottis, direct the sound forward without actually exiting through the nose. So if I sing that on an open vowel, sing, yeah, there's no airflow coming through my nose because the soft part's raised up, the velar port's closed, and there's a cyclical space for the sound to resonate. Plus, I'm also just in a frequency sense singing forward, so it's not actually singing through the nose. Everyone gets super confused with that. There's a big difference to how Stevie Nicks sings to how John Fogerty sang. So it's not actually exiting through the nose and true nasality. It's actual forward placement from using a ton of twang and directing the sound forward. Sing's a great way to do it. The really brassy, annoying sounds, wah, wah. Just make sure that you're learning how to do it with the soft palate raised up. Wah, wah, yeah, yeah, that kind of thing, without the sound exiting through the nose. The practice sounds are really annoying. I get that. Not the most exciting thing to practice, practicing NG and N and wah, wah. But this is going to allow you to sing like Chris Cornell. So there's your incentive right there. The third thing that I've learned from singing these Chris Cornell songs is that these songs are written for his instrument at the peak of his prowess as a singer. The way that I used to approach these things is I would really break down what other people's choices were, and I tried to make those choices in my voice without really considering my voice might be lower, maybe the overtone in my voice is different. Who knows? There's so many different variables with each person's voice. And that is how these songs are written. They're not challenging songs for him to sing. He's written these songs and written these vocal lines in a way that expresses the best parts of his voice and expresses the most efficient way that he could sing at the time. And that's not necessarily the same way that my voice works and not necessarily the same choices. So basically, I no longer look at the choices that people make. I look at the vocal line, I look at the character, I look at the style of the song, and I basically rewrite it for my instrument. And that's why you're seeing all these one-take covers on the channel here, because I'm basically just doing things the way that I want to do them without worrying too much about whether I'm going to get a million comments from people saying, you sound nothing like Chris Cornell. And that's not what I'm going for here. I'm going for the song, I'm going for the inspiration, and I really need to kind of rewrite it and adjust it for my instrument so that I'm using my instrument at its peak and kind of writing in a way for my voice in the same way that Chris Cornell was writing for his voice. So you've got a different instrument, you've got to use your instrument in the best way possible. If you dug this video, I would love to help you further. I've put together a specific vocal plan that will take you through absolutely everything that you need to learn to be able to approach these crazy songs that I've been approaching on this channel, all the Chris Cornell stuff, all the crazy covers that I've been doing. So hit this link here and I'll send you across the vocal plan with some special videos which aren't available here on my YouTube. I'll send you across the best training guides you've ever seen in your life. I'm really, really proud of them. Mastering the Art of Singing and a vowel modification guide. So hit this link right now to get all that special training and learn all the fundamentals that you need to become a great singer and approach all the songs of your dreams with no limit on your range. We'll talk soon.